If you like what we do here over at Aircrew Interview and would like to support us and help us grow, you can head over to our Patreon channel at patreon.com/aircrewinterview, where you can donate monthly. We have different tiers ranging from $1 per month right up to $25, with each tier offering different rewards. All the monthly donations greatly help us to continue creating these video and audio interviews, so please take a look and I thank you in advance. Enjoy.
So Craig, you had a pretty big accident in the Hunter. Can you tell us about this?
I can, yeah. 1st of June 2003. We've been flying Hunter for many years, on and off at air displays and things. This weekend in question, we'd flown at the Portrush Air Show in Northern Ireland out of Blackpool, quite close to Wharton, so it was quite handy, really. We'd flown on the Friday, the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, the day of the accident. Kind of a long litany of problems. And they talk about the Swiss cheese effect or breaking the chain. And there's a number of issues that go into why the airplane eventually crashed and our involvement in it. Airplane had electrical problems, but it's got a battery, it's got second generators. That's okay. We can live with the one generator not working. But at some point during the sortie, that second generator failed. Not a problem. We've still got the battery. That'll keep us going. Kind of predicted that would happen, and the weather was fine. We could get back home to Exeter. Sorry. But midway through the transit back home, there's a little shudder through the airframe, which the Hunter quite often did. It was the inlet guide vanes moving, and then I noticed the speed was slowly reducing, so I moved the throttle forward a little bit, speed kept on reducing, moved the throttle forward a little bit more, and it did take me about a minute and a half to recognise the fact that the engine had actually gone out, it stopped working. I thought that in a single engine jet, when the engine stopped, it would all go deathly quiet, but the engine's still windmilling, the air conditioning still working, the noise didn't really change, and all that's happening, the speed's getting slower, and I thought, oh no. This isn't going to end well. You very quickly put all the pieces together and recognise that this airplane is not going to start again. So can I get to a runway? Can I glide it into a runway? And Lambeda Airfield was just potentially in sight, but because I had underwing tanks on that I didn't want to jettison and not know where they're going to go, I kept them, which meant I couldn't get to Lambeda. So the next option was to put myself into the Duffy Estuary, or even better, get to Cardigan Bay. So I wanted to make sure that this airplane didn't end up in housing estate or anything like that. Long before the showroom tragedy, I didn't want the headline of weekend jet boy. Seriously was thinking that. So I stayed with the airplane as we're gliding down. And quite late on, about 2,000 feet, I initiated the ejection. That's civilian Craig Penrice flying. Had I been still in the Air Force, I would have been quite within my rights to leave the airplane at 9,000 feet and let it go to its own devices. I wanted to make sure I knew where it was going to land, just about. Pulled the handle, and in complete contrast to my previous ejection, where I got no memory of anything, this time round I can see this cockpit disappearing away from me as I leave it at 100 feet per second, probably something like that. I don't know. I can't work out what the G-forces are, but you bang out of the airplane. I watch the airplane fly away underneath me. Then it pitches up because I'm no longer in it. The last vision of it is in the vertical before it nosed over and came back down. I know right away that I've damaged myself. My back is agony, absolutely excruciating agony. Parachute comes open and you're flopping around, and watching the water come up, because I want to be over the estuary was fine, and I thought the water's coming up pretty quickly here. This is not a lot faster than I was expecting, and I glanced down and the ejection seat hadn't separated from me as it should do automatically. So I'm coming down in a tiny little parachute anyway, with a 300-pound ejection seat strapped to my back. So at a very late stage I unstrapped from that. It fell to the floor and landed maybe 50 feet away from where I landed. I landed in the water. The parachute pulled me a little bit, but it collapsed. I sort of came to a stop. But I took a big breath as I hit the water and didn't float back to the surface. I couldn't figure out what was wrong because the water was only about 9 inches deep. So I'd hit the water and then the sand underneath it with a broken back from the ejection, which wasn't a great feeling.
There's that famous picture in the news of their back tail.
Yeah, but the airplane just literally went and straight into a peat bog. So the cockpit ended up sort of 30 feet underground. It was recovered, and my little overnight bag was recovered, and with the car keys in it, which was the important bit. So I was, in the water. Luckily, the tide was going out at that stage. I could hear police sirens and things on the banks of the estuary. About 45 minutes later, there was a passerby walking his dog. I could see him. I was obviously lying on my back. I couldn't move. I knew my back was badly damaged. He's sort of approaching, wondering whether he's coming up to a body or not, so I waved, and he comes across. There's nothing he can do on his own. Got some water, and then the sky becomes filled with helicopters. There's the Valley rescue helicopter, the Chivener rescue helicopter, and the North Wales police are all there. Big yellow helicopter, man comes down on a string and sort of takes control. And at that point, up until that point, it's all self-preservation. When the professional services are on the scene, you go, and onto backboard and taken to the nearest medical facility, which is part of the story that is important, because had I been a military pilot who'd ejected, they're told take him to the spinal centre at Nottingham. Mm-hmm. If you're a civilian, no matter if you've ejected from an airplane, take the casualty to the nearest medical facility. Aberystwyth District Hospital, as fine a place as it was, is no place for a broken back.
Right.
So I was then taken to Swansea overnight in an ambulance on the road with a broken back. Spent 5 days there before being transferred to Nottingham, and it was a week later before they put the nuts and bolts in to fix my back.
Wow, so you really were travelling about.
Oh yeah.
Bloody hell.
Emergency stopping an ambulance with a broken back is not a nice thing.
I can imagine. So did you know this was going to be the end of your flying career at this point?
No, it took a while for the full enormity of the damage I'd done. So the broken disc, broken vertebrae are one thing. There's also a heap of, because of the splinters, spinal cord damage, which has long-lasting effects in there. And I was given the sort of ultimatum: once your back is fixed again, which it will do, we take the metal out and you can fly again. Mm-hmm. But as it took them 12 hours to put it in, from the front, by the way. And it's going to take them equally long to get out, and I was at 44 years old at the time, having done everything I'd done. I thought, you know what, I don't need to be doing this.
Yeah.
Because nothing says that the next flight's not going to end up the same way.
Exactly, yeah.
So 2 ejections in 4,500 hours is way above average.
Yeah, but it's great to see that you're here and okay.
I've been incredibly unlucky, but incredibly lucky. Thanks to Martin Baker, thanks to the rescue squadrons, thanks to the doctors, and thanks to all the support I've had. So I'm very lucky to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.